Well, I've done quite a few videos about conditions I see doing disability exams and the sort of disability claimants that I see, and I thought I'd flip things around today and do a video on what doing disability exams are like from my perspective. And I'm going to talk about the 6 types of people I see, from the easiest for me to the most difficult. Hello, I'm John Foster. I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability exams, and as usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now first, I want to do a bit of housekeeping. I've had numerous requests to discuss various disabling conditions, and I've done as many as I can, but from time to time, and especially recently, some people have asked me to do videos on conditions that I'm really unfamiliar with. Either I've only read about them, or I've only maybe seen 1 or 2 people with the condition in my career. And I don't want to act like an expert in something that I know little about or am out of date. So please keep the suggestions coming, but also please understand that if I say I don't have enough expertise to talk about the condition, it's because I really don't have that expertise. So the first type of person that I see is by far the easiest, and that's the person who's clearly disabled and meets Social Security's requirements. Now, that's not good for the person, but it makes my life easy. An example would be somebody who's had a stroke. They tell me that on such and such a day, half of their body became weak or paralyzed and numb. I examine them, and sure enough, half of their body is weak or paralyzed and numb. And there are several findings on exam of strokes that simply can't be simulated or acted. And then I make my report, and that's done, and I feel like I've really helped that person. Although I haven't made their stroke better, at least I've helped them get disability benefits. And if you find this sort of topic interesting, you might want to subscribe to my channel. I generally put out 1 disability-related video every Friday morning. The second group of patients that I see are people who have bona fide medical problems, but in my opinion just aren't going to meet the requirements for Social Security disability. And as I've stated in the past, I don't make the decision whether somebody is approved or denied for benefits, and I'm glad that I don't have to make that decision because I'm a bit of a soft touch, and I'd probably approve more people than really qualified. As an example, not too long ago, I saw a person under age 50 with a problem with 1 arm. Now, the problem with the arm was real, and it was vexing. They had limited use of that arm, and limited use of 1 arm in a person under 50 with no other problems is probably not going to be approved for Social Security disability. In that sort of case, I just put down my findings, and then it's out of my hands. This third type of problem that I see, that I actually find quite interesting, I do see from time to time people with conditions that I've never seen before, and sometimes that I've never even heard before. And what I do in that situation, first, before I do the exam, I study the condition, and I make notes. And I write down all the questions I want to ask the person and all the things I want to look for on the exam. I recently had a person who was born with what we call a metabolic disease. Part of their body's metabolism didn't work correctly, and it created all sorts of physical and psychological problems. And I went through my notes and asked my questions and checked everything, and sure enough, they had a lot of the features of the condition. So that's interesting for me because I'm always interested in learning new things in medicine. The fourth type of person that I see is the malingerers. These are the pretenders, the people who are acting disabled in hopes that they can fool me and Social Security into getting disability benefits that they don't deserve. And you might think that these people upset me, but really I find them kind of amusing. It's sort of like a cat and mouse game, and they're pretty easy to spot. Also, these people tend to be con men, so they tend to be quite nice overtly and even flattering because they want to get on my good side. Again, I don't argue with them, I don't tell them I don't believe them, I just put down what I find in my report, and it's up to Social Security what to do. The fifth group are somewhat more difficult, and these are the people who are mentally ill and have hypochondriasis, or what's called somatization disorder. The idea that they have psychological pain that they express through physical complaints. These people tend to be obviously neurotic and very unhappy. Some of them are agreeable and some of them tend towards disagreeableness. When I examine these people, I have to be very careful because I never want to misinterpret a physical disease as a functional disease. So I have to go over these folks with a fine-tooth comb. The last group of folks are the ones who give me a real headache. They are by far the most difficult to deal with. And these are folks with what are called personality disorders in psychiatry. In a personality disorder, the person's feelings and behaviors make their lives, and often the lives of the people around them, worse. But the folks with the personality disorder are unable to see how their behavior makes things worse for them. They tend to blame all of their problems on other people, and often they will blame their problems on me. These folks tend to be highly disagreeable, and what they'll seem to do is to aggravate me as much as possible. And then when I become aggravated, they will play the poor victim of the mean, aggravated doctor. I'll give you an example. I had a person about a year ago, completely alert and intelligent. They gave me their story, and then I went to examine them. One of the first things I do when I examine people is I check their eye movements. That gives me information about their eyes, the muscles that move the eyes, the nerves that connect the eyes to the brain, and the brain. I tell them to hold their head still and watch my finger as I move it side to side and up and down. And this person wouldn't move their eyes. I asked them again and explained exactly what I wanted them to do. They wouldn't do it. I explained a third time. They still didn't do it, which was quite puzzling to me because they didn't seem confused or mentally impaired. I went on to ask them to do various other parts of the exam, such as testing their strength and their range of motion, and in almost a random fashion, they would refuse to do things that I needed them to do for the exam. When I asked them why they wouldn't, they just got mad at me. Finally, I realized I was getting nowhere. I really can't do a disability exam on somebody who's deliberately not cooperating. And what I do with these folks is I tell them, I'm done, you can leave, have a nice day. And they generally walk out in a huff and complain about me to the medical assistant. So those are the 6 different types of folks that I see, from the easiest to the most difficult. I hope this has been helpful, and as always, remember, if it happens, it's possible. Just a minute, I'll get you.